To ensure we can keep producing great free content, please leave a comment below or leave a question that we can help you with. Then like and subscribe for all the latest updates. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Composition. Why is it so important? Well, composition will make or break your photo. And it's quite a big subject, but it is so very important. So what is composition? Well, composition is arranging what you have in a frame for a purpose. Now, what do I mean by a purpose? Composition has a purpose to lead you, to take your eye somewhere, to create drama. When you look at a photo, your brain subconsciously makes a decision in a split second on what you see, and it creates an emotion. Wow, oh my God, or nothing at all. When you look around an uncomposed image, your eyes wander without purpose, and you get bored, resulting in a poor emotion about that photo. A well-composed photo, in contrast, your eyes are led by composition of leading lines, symmetry, framing, angles. This allows your brain to look at a photo with ease and make a decision of, wow, great photo, without even a thought of why. Remember, changing little things have a big impact. You need to guide your viewer through the photo by telling a story. I'm sure you've heard of a phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So create your photo and give it 1,000 words. How do we do this? With great composition. Here are the steps for great composition. Perspective, leading lines to a vanishing point. Framing, symmetry, angles, the rule of thirds, create depth. Okay, let's start with perspective. There are 4 main perspective angles: low, lateral eye level, high and rear. Low is when we take the camera to the ground, or low angle to the subject and look up, i.e. looking up at a tall city landscape, lying on the ground looking at the skies through the trees, etc. Lateral eye level is taking the same shots from the center, but also trying the same shot but from a different angle, from the left or the right. High is taking a photo from a higher vantage point than your subject. This shows perspective. Rear perspective is when your subject is looking away from the camera. It gives an air of mystery, and where the subject generally looks, the viewer will look. Look at invisible leading lines. This works well, particularly with the rule of thirds. Eye line level is also very important when we use this to get down to the eye level of our subject. For instance, you will always see photos of pets from a person that's standing, but rarely from the eye line level of the pet themselves. This goes the same with children, generally photographed from standing parent. So try getting down to the level of the eye line of the subject of your pet or child for more of a dramatic shot. Leading lines to a vanishing point. This is where we guide our viewer into the photo. Leading lines generally come from the left or the right, or both, that lead people into the photo. Leading lines can be physical, geometric guides, such as buildings, objects, but also organic materials such as landscape, rivers, and even contrasting colours within your scene that are in your photo. Framing. Framing is a great way to bring focus to your subject. It's not like leading lines, but has a similar effect that brings the focus to a point. You can use many things to frame your focus point, such as doorways, branches, holes in the wall, windows, shoot-through shapes, anything to create a frame. Also, when shooting portraits, it's important for your subject to have enough looking space in the frame, rather than facing out of the frame. This is the same when you have a moving subject, whether a person or a car or anything moving across the frame. You need to give the subject enough space to look into. Symmetry. Symmetry is a great way to show composition and focus. So what is symmetry? If your photo had a center line through it, each side would be identical. Photos that can be divided into identical halves are called symmetrical. When taking a photo, look for the imaginary line through the center. This can cross the photo in any direction. You can find symmetry in absolutely anything. Angles. The use of angles can add drama and impact to your photos. You don't have to keep your phone in a landscape or portrait view. Changing the angle and level of your camera, particularly working with dramatic lines, can bring a whole new look to your photo. Rule of thirds. As mentioned at the beginning with the camera settings, the rule of thirds are so important within composition. When using a grid on the camera, try and get the subject on one of the outer thirds, or the eye on the converging points. With landscapes, for instance, the horizon of the landscape should be placed on the upper third or lower third, depending on what impact you would like to show, whether that be the sky or the landscape. Another use for the grid is to level the horizon. So often we see photos posted on social media that are skew-if, when it's so simple to level with a guide. Yes, you can correct in post, but you lose some of the image left and right when doing the crop in the correction. Creating depth. To create depth in a photo, use a subject in the foreground to give perspective to the size or distance of the remaining photo. If you are shooting a portrait, try and get the subject to look across some dead space to create simplicity in the shot. To add impact, think about using selective focus, focusing on something that's close to the camera with the actual background going into a blur. What to avoid? Not spending time composing your photo and looking for the finer details can actually ruin a photo. Avoid distracting backgrounds, signs that could disappear if you just move the camera slightly, trees poking out of people's heads, people walking across the back of your shot. Spend just a little time to perfect the photo. For later iPhone users, if you have a portrait mode and the distracting background is not possible to remove, you can change the depth of field to reduce the focus into a slight blur to remove the distraction. To ensure we can keep producing great free content, please leave a comment below or leave a question that we can help you with. Then like and subscribe for all the latest updates. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video.